Hello, welcome to Madam YY channel. Today we are going to discuss how to classify carbon atoms into primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary carbons. So the carbons can be classified based on the number of carbon atoms attached to it. So there are one carbon attached to the red carbon. So the red carbon is classified as primary carbon. When there are two carbons attached to the red carbon, it is classified as secondary carbon. When there are three carbons attached to it, it will be classified as tertiary carbon. And when there are four carbons attached to it, the red carbon will be classified as quaternary carbon. So remember, the classification of carbons does not apply to carbon atoms in methane or carbon atoms in multiple bonds. So it only applies for carbon atoms which has single bonds. So we say only for sp3 carbon atoms. For example, methane, there's no carbon attached to the central carbon, so methane cannot be classified. And for the next example, 2-butane. So 2-butane, there are 4 carbon in 2-butane. So we can classify the carbon number 1 and the carbon number 4 as primary carbon because it is attached to 1 carbon. However, we cannot classify the second and third carbon in 2-butane because they are double bonds. So it is wrong if you classify carbon which is in multiple bonds. Next, we are going to learn how to classify hydrogen atoms into primary, secondary and tertiary hydrogen. So the classification of hydrogen atoms depends on the type of carbon atoms it is attached to. So primary hydrogen is attached to primary carbon. Secondary hydrogen atom is attached to secondary carbon. And the hydrogen atom is classified as tertiary when it's attached to tertiary carbon atom. And there's no such thing as quaternary hydrogen. Let's try the example questions to classify the highlighted hydrogen carbons in the compound below. So this hydrogen is attached to primary carbon, so it is classified as primary hydrogen. And the second hydrogen is attached to secondary carbon, so it is secondary hydrogen. And then we have the hydrogen attached to tertiary carbon, so it is classified as tertiary hydrogen.